On the night of February 21st, 2025, Christopher Reese and Cameron Girvin left home for a midnight shift with the Virginia Beach Police Department's Crime Suppression Unit. Their watch ended later that night when the driver of a car pulled over for expired tags, shot and killed both Reese and Girvin. And police say neither Girvin nor Reese fired their weapons that night. And in the days and weeks that followed, the community rallied behind the fallen officers. But now, months later, we hear from Cameron Girvin's best friends at the department, Officers Michael Santerre, William Watts, and Devin Small. We share our extended interview with them as we learn about the night Girvin and Reese died from their perspectives and the emotional journey of remembering a lost friend. I first want to know why each of you are here and why you think that it's not enough to just kind of remember him on your own, but like, why are each of you here today speaking in this capacity?
The reason I wanted to do it is because I wanted to kind of shed light on the fact that these guys were not only cops, Cam and Reese, but they were people as well. And a lot of times people only see outwardly, they look at the uniform and just think, you know, we're machines and things like that. We're just like anybody else. We just have a very difficult and different job than most people.
Across the nation, you see a lot of cops go down, and then people kind of just forget about it. Like the next week, it's back to business as usual. But for us, that's not the case. So as long as we can, continue to do things for Cam and Reese's family, their memory will, stay alive. And we have a lot of funny stories that we constantly tell. I mean, we were just, before this one, started filming, we were telling funny stories. And so that's one way to do it. If we can do that where other people can kind of know the type of person Cam was and look back at it, that's why I agreed to doing it.
I know we had actually exchanged messages
Yes.
a little bit. You put out something pretty quickly after this happened, so obviously you were close enough to Cam where you felt you wanted to get that out there quickly, right?
Yeah, so the post that I made for Cam, I really just did it for myself and for the guys that I work with. I really was trying to highlight who Cam was as a future father, as a best friend, as a husband, and just the love and the person that we got to see. I kind of want to share that with everybody else.
Tell me when each of you met Cam.
So me and him put in for the same process for the unit, and we were both picked. First time I met him, he was 25 years old, and I'm an old man.
Yes, you are.
I see this young kid, big pompadour hairstyle, beard, skinny jeans, super skinny jeans. And I was like, well, all right, well, I've got a 12-year-old that I'm working with. That was kind of my first impression. Clearly, the first time we rode together, that absolutely changed. We were paired up as partners for a little over a year. Our thought on policing and being proactive was the exact same. I've been a cop for a pretty long time. And Cam was a cop for 5 years, but his knowledge of what he could do, what he's allowed to do, case law, far surpassed a lot of officers that I worked with have been a cop for 10 or 15 years.
I met Cam, it was probably his second night of training, was when I first met him. We got sent to a 911 hang-up call. We go there, I kind of sit in the back, kind of let the new officer kind of take lead and kind of figure out what he wants to do and stuff like that. I was probably a 3-year officer at the time, so I wasn't very far along myself either, but I knew it was, gotta let the new guy kind of find his way. So he goes, starts talking to the mom who did the 911 hang up by accident, started talking to some of the kids, and come to find out that it was a domestic situation. Cam asked hey, do you want us to go speak to your husband? She said, yes, please. So we go inside, and all of a sudden the back door just swings open, and the guy just storms into his room, just kind of talking to himself, kind of yelling. and all of a sudden the guy comes out with a big dagger. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm here with this 2-day on officer, and me, he was a 3-year officer, and then we have a super senior officer in the back. But the way the kind of hallway was set up, it really was just Cam and myself. The dude ended up retreating back inside his room, ended up getting another dagger, so he now had 2 daggers. But Cam just was able to talk him down and got him to put the knives down, ended up complying, ended up getting him in handcuffs, and with no issue whatsoever. Didn't have to tase him, didn't use any force, anything like that. And at that moment, I knew that Cam was something special.
What is it about working in law enforcement that manifests different kind of dynamics in a friendship or a relationship than it would be if you all had met Cam, or just in general other police officers? I mean, what is the why is it that in law enforcement you feel that there's this different dynamic as opposed to a friendship that you may have outside of law enforcement?
You're kind of trauma bonded. It starts in the academy, like really bad days in the academy, right? That turns into laughter. Then when you start riding together or being on the same shift, like you're with these people 10 hours a day, longer because court, right? Your shift schedule is different than the normal person. You work holidays with these people. You're not even seeing your own family. So you're actually with these people and your fellow officers more than you are with your own family.
Yeah, I would echo that as well. The average person deals with 4 critical incidents in their life. A cop, they deal about 400 in their career. And when you work alongside of each other, you deal with these dangerous individuals, and they could go terribly wrong, just like it did in Cam's situation and Reese's situation. But so many times it comes out with a good outcome. The guy's in custody, you get the guns off the street and everything, and they go to jail or whatever. But just a split second of a wrong decision, sometimes it can lead to bad consequences. And so when you go through these things with each other, it just kind of leads to a brotherhood or a sisterhood that I think is different than in other jobs. Maybe the military, I could see that in the military.
What we see and deal with on a normal day-to-day basis isn't normal for society. We come into contact with people having pretty much the worst day of their life. And we are responsible for trying to de-escalate, be a counselor, be a marriage counselor, a psychologist, everything all in one. To where we either do this for the citizens, and no one's really there to help us when we're in stuff like that. And I think we end up dealing with all the stuff that we see and deal with by leaning on each other more than you would just in an office workplace. Just like Mike said, we see each other 10 plus hours a day, going from call to call to call, going from the most extreme call, a guy who just committed suicide, to helping the old lady cross the street. It's just that constant adrenaline dump that we end up building that strong relationship with our partners, our beat partners, our zone partners, that just is stronger and more unique than you would at just, a normal office place.
I would like to go a little bit to the night in which we're here. I was hoping from each of your vantage points you could pull back the curtain and take me behind the scenes of what exactly was happening, across the agency and maybe just individually when it was known that there was an officer down, and that even more specifically that it was potentially someone that you knew. I'm sure you learned those pieces of information. I don't know how close together, but I'm hoping you could just kind of take me behind the scenes to that night.
Small came in, and in a rush, in a panic, and he said, officer down. And we were all in the office doing paperwork. And we immediately grabbed our vests, threw our vests on, and everybody ran out. And I didn't even know where it was at. As we ran to the cars, we're kind of getting information. I was in the car, my partner was driving, and so we're learning information, and it comes out that 2 officers are down, and had no clue who it was. The department's so big, I thought maybe it was somebody that I wouldn't have even met before. We get on scene, and it's in this precinct. And this precinct is where Cam and Reese worked. And when I got on scene and I did not hear Cam over the radio, because in a high stress situation, he was always on the radio giving updates. He was very good at maintaining composure and control and kind of directing units where they need to go. That's the first time that it hit me. It may be Cameron, who was shot. I ran down the street towards police cars and just kind of ran in the right direction. And as I ran past the ambulance, I saw an officer on the ground, and I saw they were loading up an officer on the gurney. And as I ran up, the officer on the ground, I could tell from my prior experience that I thought he was deceased. And the officer on the gurney, when I got there, I realized it was Cam. I helped push the gurney to the ambulance, and immediately said, I'm going to the hospital with my former partner. And I held his hand all the way to the hospital and continued to talk to him and tell him, you need to hang on. I've seen a lot of shooting victims, and no matter how bad it is, sometimes I've seen them just pull through. I even prayed on the way to the ambulance while doing all kinds of other things, hoping that would be the case. And unfortunately it did.
Had you ever had to do something like that before?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is probably the most difficult because how close we were in this situation. But I'm thankful that I could get there from another precinct and be with him on the way to the hospital.
We were just talking to the lieutenant, and her radio happened to be scanning, because I guess she was like the CDO that night, and all of a sudden just heard officer down. We took a second, like, did someone really just say that? Then they came on the radio again, officer down. Immediately sprinted out of the lieutenant's office, ran into our office, started telling the guys, officer down, we gotta go. As I'm running out the office, other patrol units that were downloading all their gear heard me say it too, and they all just started running to their cars and taking off as well. I remember we were trying to figure out where the traffic stop was, what was going on, where everybody was at, because we had just logged off our computer. Like, it was pretty much the time for us to go home. So we were trying to figure all that stuff out and just drive and get there. And I was in the passenger seat working the computer. And I remember the person I was riding with that day, he had another officer who was on scene, and he got an update from that officer saying that it was Cam and Reese. And I just immediately just fell silent. I didn't really know what to think, what to feel. I was just trying to tell myself, maybe you just got clipped in the arm, or, something not serious, not life-threatening. He's going to be okay. Reese is going to be okay. So then we started setting up a perimeter around an area that we thought the traffic stop was, and somebody then came over the radio and said traffic stop happened pretty much a block up. So that's when I saw Detective Watts start running, and I started running myself, and I'm a pretty large boy, so when I start going, it takes me a while to get going, but I started going, and I remember just passing officers, just getting there, because I still just couldn't believe that it was Cam. And probably about, I don't even know how far it was, a couple blocks down the road, I was about to round the corner, I could see the ambulance, and a sergeant stopped me because she knew how close I was to Cam, and she just told me, you don't want to go over there. I already knew that Detective Watts was up there, another couple of our detectives were up there, and so I started losing it. I just started bawling, crying.
On scene?
Yeah, on scene. Yeah, I had to walk away. I went in my own little area, and officers kept coming up to me and telling me it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. I called Santerre because he and I are partners, and the three of us were very close with Cam, with Will as well. I called him multiple times to get him to answer because he had me sleeping, and I finally answered. And I think the first thing I just said to him was, "Cam was shot." He immediately just was like, "What? Where? Like, what are we doing? Is the suspect still outstanding?" And I was like, "Dude, I don't know. I don't know any more details yet. That's all I know right now. I know we're taking him to the hospital." And I got tasked with guarding Cam's door. No one's coming in, anything like that until. And I've never had to do anything like that before. Never had to be there for somebody that I considered to be a brother, not just a friend, but a true brother with everything that we've gone through together. And having to see him on the gurney like that, it just, words can't describe the emotions that I felt, the lack of emotions that I felt, the anger that I felt, just wondering why this happened, why him. He was about to be a father. He was so excited to be a father. He was 25 years old. He was about to have a birthday. He was super young. And I remember his wife walking in, and I just needed some time. I couldn't go and talk to her yet. I just needed some time. Once they moved Cam upstairs, his wife had Watts come down and get me and Santerre, and she let us come upstairs and talk to Cam and say goodbye to him and everything like that. And it just was, it just felt surreal. It's not really something that you can describe unless you've been a part of something like that. Just seeing the amount of support from the other agencies that blocked the roads for us. And then we got to the ME's office, and that's when it really hit me, when they took Cam inside. That was probably the hardest day of my life so far. I hope to never go through something like this again. Hope nobody has to go through anything like this again. But yeah, that's just where we were that night. It just all felt unreal.
And we'd been texting our group chat about case-related work that were, different guys that might be roaming around the area. So I felt my phone vibrate once. I saw it's Dev right around like closing time for our shift. So I was like, it's probably something stupid that one of our other partners did. So I just let it go to voicemail. And he calls back again. So I pick it up, and he told me Cam had been shot. And I, jumped out of bed. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, we have one officer dead. I don't think he knew the name at that point in time, but he's like, he said there's one officer dead and Cam's been shot. He's on the way to the hospital. I asked him, I was like, do we have the suspect in custody? He's like, I don't know. So I was like, all right, I'll grab my vest in case we have work to do. I'm on my way, like wherever this is going. So we get into Beach Gen, and I walk through the ER, and it's the room where Cam was in, like for the first part of it, and you just see everybody officer's face, and one of our other partners, Treadway, just comes, gives me a big hug, and immediately broke down because, if Cam had just been shot in the arm or something, a leg, and he was fine, that kid would have been cracking jokes, so that everybody would have been laughing, right? Like he'd say something like, "Oh, well, there goes my part time for the next couple months," or like he would have had the room rolling, and so we were outside of his room for a little while, and then he got taken up to the ICU, and Jess came, and she's a rock because she was in way better shape than we all were. It was actually like really astonishing that she just was just so cool and collected, and you have a bunch of grown men who are like, weeping. Luckily, we were in the waiting room. Will came down, and Will was a rock star during all this. He was with the family that night, the whole nights leading up to the funeral, and then most recently he just went up to Rochester. But Will came down and was like, hey, just said if you and Dev want to go say goodbye, now's the time. So we looked at each other, and it was kind of a no-brainer. He was like, I could understand you not wanting to because it's a pretty ugly sight, but me and Dev were like, we have to say goodbye to our friend. So he was still on life support at that time, and had a couple words. I like to think that he heard, said our goodbyes, and then we were just kind of outside waiting for the final result. And then our lieutenant was kind of like, whatever you guys want to do, and I was also a no-brainer. We're like, well, we're staying with Cam the whole time, so we took him to the ME office. But once we got to the ME's office, it came down like a sledgehammer. And the final salute and watching the flag draped casket get taken in, it was the finality of it.
Chief Newdigate, the day after this happened, said that he felt that this was a department that he called young, or that there's a lot of young guys on this force, and he had made a comment that because of that, this would be the first time that a lot of the force, the officers, were perhaps dealing with something to this magnitude. Do you think that, what have you noticed about that maybe across the department over the last couple of weeks? Is that kind of a true sentiment? If I'm remembering, I don't think this has happened in 17 years. So
I would say that's a true sentiment, saying that we're a young department, and I could understand Chief's concerns, but my hat goes off to every single person in this department, because there were people on scene that night that didn't get out of the hospital till 10 in the morning, and they were right back on shift. The department was great. They had people take off when they needed to take off, but there were some absolute troopers who were like, no, I'm going to work. So as young of a department as we are, the way that the rank and file and kind of everybody between the supervisors that knew both of them has handled it probably better than any other department in the country, because people say, oh, this doesn't happen in Virginia Beach. We have our crime, but if you're not expecting something to happen like this, right? Like if it would be like a major city, and for them to bounce back like this, it's been really impressive.
I do have a concern because for the fact that the department is so young, and not that being a cop for a long time helps you deal with traumatic stress or better, but I could honestly see someone who is young, say Cam's age, and they have a newborn, rethinking their decision to be a cop. I feel like a lot of people are called to this job. It's just not a job, but I would not be surprised if we did have, 8 to 10 officers decide, what, it's too dangerous, I want to do something else. And I can't fault anybody for that.
For situations like this, sometimes people can follow or continue a story based on sort of the legal fallout, or what would have been the legal fallout in this. And as we know, there's no, the would-be suspect is no longer here, and so it kind of ends that follow-up, right? There's the continuation sort of stops because that person is no longer here. Do you find that changes how you view this? Because when we cover cases, oftentimes families will talk about closure, friends will talk about closure, they'll look at court dates for, would-be suspects and say, this is how I sort of continue, almost like living through my lost loved one. But in this case, there isn't really a continuation because of the circumstances. Do you find that makes just sort of closure more difficult?
Well, I've heard other officers make note of that. and because you want them to go to jail or whatever, but having Cam and Reese's wife sit through a trial for a year and have to be exposed to that and have to go to trial every day and face somebody who murdered their husbands, I could imagine having to sit through that.
Yeah, I mean, we go to court on a regular basis, and obviously, the arguments are different per case. But I mean, just our normal caseload it's a bear. I couldn't imagine having to be the victim to sit through all that. So to kind of echo what Will says, while the suspect is not able to be brought to justice in the way that we probably would have all wanted, right? Because every time it gets brought up, even this interview today, it reopens the wounds, and especially for Jess and Mariah, like that would be really painful to have to watch them go through it every court date for years, plus appeals, plus whatever else came, parole. They'd have to write letters to the parole board. If he ever got out, probation letters, and it just never would stop. Now it's over in a way.
I was curious about just sort of how you've processed things, both in the immediate. I mean, you talked a little bit about sort of the night of, but I was curious to hear about like how you have all processed what has happened, and how your maybe emotions change after week 1, after week 2. We're sitting here 3-4 weeks, a year out from this. How will your emotions change the farther out you get from what happened?
Well, I feel like going through this type of thing before. They say time heals all wounds. I don't know if that's true, but I feel like the pain is significant, and the people that I've lost in the past, I've never forgotten them. And around the time of their death, you focus on them more. Just like I am quite sure in this instance, that will happen at that anniversary of their passing. But initially, to mirror what Devin said, initially it's shock. You can't believe it, it's shock. Then it moves to grief. And for me, I was very busy with the family and doing stuff like that. So staying busy helped me.
Or delayed it.
Or delayed it.
Delayed it. He's where we were a week ago. He's like a week behind us because he's been, like I was saying before, he's been a rock star. He's been with the family the entire duration of all this. While Dev and I were a mess that whole week, Will had a job and a responsibility to do, and he's absolutely knocked it out of the park. And he's been with Jess's family, and they haven't said it, but we all know like he's been a pivotal point into them, just getting through their day by day.
Yeah, I know. For me, I said this to the guys. I felt like leading up to, Mike actually said this to us. Leading up to the funeral, it felt like we were preparing to get hit by a sledgehammer. Like I just felt like you were waiting for it. You're just waiting to get that final knockout blow. And then once the funeral happened, it felt like, I don't want to say like a sigh of relief, but it kind of felt like a little bit of a relief that this moment that was going to be one of the worst moments you're going to have to experience is finally over. For us, at least, not for Jess or Mariah. They have to, unfortunately, live with this because they had a much different relationship with their husbands. Obviously, we did. But somebody said it to me, and I've said it to the guys. I don't think, like Will said, I don't think time heals all wounds. I think time just helps dull the sharpness of the pain of the wounds. And I think just over time until the next anniversary comes up, It's going to be moving forward. I know probably for our squad, trying to do the most and live our lives and do police work as if Cam would have wanted us to do, by going out there, being proactive, probably being late on more paperwork. You know, it's really honor Cam's memory.
I'm gonna use that.
Yeah, I'll forget about that. But yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes that laughter is,
Oh, absolutely.
you know,
Well, I mean, you can laugh or you can cry, and if you cry all the time, you won't last in this job.
yeah.
So that's just the way it is. This, and the way the level of violence in which they lost their lives, and the senselessness of, you know, the situation. The fact that somebody may go to prison for 2 years, that's not a reason to take 2 police officers' lives and then take your own life.
Yeah, I think there's also a level of like what we do. You kind of hear all the stories across the country, you know, cops getting killed in line of duty, but there's a level of like, oh, that can't be me. And then when it hits this close to home on like something as, you know, mundane as a traffic stop, people start putting themselves in their shoes. Like I know the week after it happened, like I was playing with my son, and he's 2 years old, and I would start to, you know, kind of tear up because I'm like, this should be Cam in a couple months, and all, you know, it wasn't like he died in a car accident or something explainable. This was just a routine, and there's nothing routine about him, but just a routine traffic stop. So I know there were several cops that, you know, kind of brought up their concerns about what traffic stops would be like from this point on, and we definitely told, we're like, hey man, it's gonna feel like your first traffic stop when you got cut loose on your own, and then it's gonna get easier. But I think that plays a level into it for what we do, because we still have a job to do. You know, I got like 23 years left in this place, right? Like, yeah, so like I got 23 years left of like doing the job. So, and I think everybody had that moment, whether, you know, it was a Norfolk cop because of how close it is, or just being on the force in the beach. People are, you know, kind of second guessing and putting themselves in those shoes.
You know, when we all signed up for this job, we all knew that it was inherently dangerous. We all knew that there is a potential that one day we might not come home. But it kind of what everybody else has said, you don't really expect it. Like you know it's in the back of your mind that that's a possibility, but after how many traffic stops you've done, after how many times you've come in those close calls with, you know, the suspect with guns or having to fight somebody, or they're reaching for your gun and stuff like that, you kind of forget about that feeling. It's still always like kind of in the back of your mind, just a very low voice that's there, but you kind of rely on your past experience to be like, no, I can get through this, I can handle this. It really just strikes home. To where I know, like these guys, the past couple weeks, I've thought about like, oh man, like this traffic stop. What if today's my day? You know, it's kind of just that unexpectedness now. It's just I really hold on to that a little bit more now than I did in my past 8 years in the job.
Obviously, there's been so much community support. I mean, you know, it really felt like for a week, really, the city stopped and everything. The focus was on Cam and Chris, and I was just curious if the position it is for you emotionally when you see all this community support, you see people coming out of the woodwork and coming here and paying their respects, you know, dropping off flowers, all of this support online and in person for Cam and Chris, but it's, you know, it's for someone that you have personally lost. I mean, is that just sort of a strange position to be in?
Yeah, it's surreal. I mean, you know, the work never stopped for us, and you have people constantly coming up to you saying, you know, thank you for your service, or sorry for your loss, and it all comes from a good place, and you know, but it definitely reopens wounds because like you're trying to deal with it mentally. But the community's been absolutely fantastic. I mean, prior to turning the cameras on, I think we talked about the amount of money raised for both families. Like, you know, there's been local businesses that have really stepped up and done different fundraisers. Different bars and restaurants donate all their the money made, like, you know. And I gotta say, we're pretty lucky to work in a city where that is the response, because I don't know if this happens in some other cities across the nation, if that is the same type of response to this. So as terrible of a situation it has been, I think the community's really kind of come together and rallied around both families, which has been nice to see.
Yeah, I would echo that. The support for the community has been amazing. But to what you were saying, I think it was a day or 2 days after, I was working part-time, and I literally had so many people come up to me and they say, I'm so sorry for the loss of your, and you know, and they're tearing up and everything. And it's like, well, yeah, you have no idea, you know, because they don't know that I have such a close relationship with one of the officers. But to echo what Mike said, I feel fortunate to work in a city that supports its law enforcement so openly. And not just when something like this happens. I've been amazed since I've came here, since I laterally transferred here, at the amount of support we do get, and at the amount of support that you do see.
I think it's been pretty cool seeing local businesses using some of the pictures that I posted to Cam, because it just really showed like who he was. Like it wasn't just, this is Officer Cameron Girvin. It's like, no, this is somebody who laughs at the small things, and weird in a sense that like I'm working part-time and, you know, a citizen comes up to me and tells me how sorry they are. And like he said, they don't know how close I was with Cam and stuff like that. So it's hard to stay professional and be like, oh, thank you, I appreciate it. It's been very nice seeing how close the community has come around us, around Jess and Mariah. And we just thank them for everything that they've done.
If we have not already talked about it to some capacity, is there anything that you want to add so that people can understand who Cam was?
He was somebody who loved life, loved living, loved just being with his friends and just hanging out. He was incredibly excited about the fact that they were going to have their first child, and the fact that he was going to be a father. He was extremely excited about that. He called me when he found out. I mean, I could tell he was excited about it, and I was just overjoyed for him. The fact that he was going to experience that, and he was, and it's been echoed before, but he was such a good cop, and he loved the job. He felt called to do this job, as many of us do, but he really was an outstanding police officer for being so young on the job, and continually studied on his own time and everything, case law and everything. So Virginia Beach, they definitely lost two of their finest with Reese and Cam, and the city was fortunate to have them work for him.
His sense of humor, just his ability to always make you laugh no matter how terrible of a day you're having. He was going to be a tremendous father. To me, I'm 10 years older than him. He was like a little brother.
He was so excited to have his little girl, and he loved this job more than I can say in my 8 years I've seen anybody else love this job. Like, Cameron Girvin is, when I think of the word cop, I think of Cameron Girvin. He was the type of person that he embodied what I thought that a cop should be, in the best way possible. Cameron Girvin was the type of guy that I strive to be as a police officer. I'm 5 years older than Cam, and I looked up to him. Cam left an everlasting impression in everybody that worked with him. Just his infectious smile, as somebody else already said, was never be forgotten. His laugh will never be forgotten. Cameron Girvin was one of the best men that I've ever met.